Hello and welcome to Pockenrop. In today's video, I'm going to dive into my top 10 worst number one singles of the 2000s decade. Before I do, I have a couple of announcements. The first is the usual. Just remember to like the video. As a few of you did following my video last week on ABBA, including the review of Voyage, hit that subscribe button and hit the bell to receive notifications of future content. My second announcement is I have been listening to a lot of music from 2021 in preparation for my top 15 albums of the year. And within that, I'm coming close to the end of my first year doing these YouTube videos, and I am intending holding the Pockenrop Awards. So I'm going to mention obviously what my album of the year is. That will be in part of the top 15 list, but also what my song of the year, biggest missed opportunity, most unsurprising listen, so on. And if you've got an idea for a category, then why not pop it in the comments below, and I might consider adding it in to that video when I do that around the last week of December. So let's dive into my top 10 worst number ones of the noughties. This is an intriguing list in that this seems to be the decade of the cover version. Now, if you go and watch my top 15 best number one singles, you'll see there's some great songs in there, some great original material. But around this, there were a lot of terrible cover versions that were released during this decade. And 9 out of the 10 on this list are going to be a cover version of some type or other. So let's dive straight in at number 10, which is the XFactor winner, Alexandra Burke, and her version of Hallelujah. Now, Hallelujah was written by Leonard Cohen, and it is one of the greatest songs ever written. I like Rufus Wainwright's version. I like Cohen's own version. Many people like John Cale. I am particularly fond of a version by a guy called Kevin Max. The song itself is almost indestructible, and I say almost because Alexandra Burke's is the closest that gets to breaking it, and the reason being is she didn't care for the song. I don't mean she didn't look after it. I mean she didn't particularly like it, and she was pushed into doing this by her record company, Psycho, as the single that was going to be released following her success on X Factor, and she didn't love the song, and I think it reflected in that performance. It's a great song, awful version. Number 10, Hallelujah by Alexandra Burke. At number 9, I have placed another cover version, and this is its third stint at number 1. Spirit in the Sky, this time by Gareth Gates and the Kumars at number 42. Now, this was a Comet Relief single, so it's there as a charity fundraiser. But I don't actually like the song Spirit in the Sky. I don't like Norman Greenbaum's version. I don't like Doctor and the Medic's version. And I certainly don't like the Gareth Gates version. At number 8, I have placed a cover version of sorts. This is DJ Otzi and Hey Baby. Now, the original Hey Baby comes from 1961. It's a pre-Beatles classic, actually. It's not a bad song. There's not a lot to it. But the DJ Otzi version adds in that huh noise into it, which just gets on my wick big time. Number 8. Hey Baby, DJ Otzi. At number 7, I have got a phenomenal song and a phenomenal artist that, in theory, you put the two together and you should get something wonderful, but you got something awful. It is American Pie by Madonna. Now, you remember I said that I thought that Hallelujah was an unbreakable song. American Pie comes close, but Madonna broke it. It's one of Madonna's weakest singles because it takes a classic and strips it of what makes it a classic. Number 7, American Pie by Madonna. And number 6 is a serial offender. Now, there is a possibility that they could have appeared multiple times in this list, but I've placed them based on the one that I dislike the most. It is Westlife. Now, Westlife had a stack of number one hits, but their cover version of The Rose, their cover version of I Have a Dream, and their cover version of Uptown Girl all have no merit whatsoever. I love all three of those songs, but the claggy, awful cover versions that Westlife give us should be buried. So at number 6, Westlife and any cover version they turn their claggy hands to. At number 5 is the XFactor Finalists version of You Are Not Alone. Now, this is originally by Michael Jackson. I hated it then. To then have the XFactor Finalists release a cover version in the style of those portmanteau things that the BBC did really well when they did Perfect Day. If you want to know what I think of that, go and have a look at my 1990s best number ones, because I think Perfect Day was perfect. But You Are Not Alone is a bad song done by manufactured pop artists that were desperate to be famous. It fails on every level with the exception of the fact that it is a charity single for Great Ormond Street. But number 5, You Are Not Alone, XFactor Finalists. And number 4 is an artist I actually quite like, and that's Geri Halliwell. In this case, it's not the artist that I think is the problem, it's the song, and it's Raining Men. I hated it by the Weather Girls and was glad it never got to number 1. But when she covered it and took it to the top, her cover version is better than the Weather Girls, but I still hate it. Number 4, It's Raining Men by Geri Halliwell. And number 3 is Lady Marmalade by Christina Aguilera, Lil' Kim, Maya and Pink from a movie I detest, which is Moulin Rouge. Everything comes together to make this something I hate. I detest Lady Marmalade in any version. And actually, I'm quite surprised that I didn't put Lady Marmalade and Under the Bridge by All Saints in my worst number ones of the 90s. Perhaps that was an oversight because I really, really loathe Lady Marmalade. I could live without the film and I can really, really live without the song. Number 3, Lady Marmalade, Christina Aguilera, Lil' Kim, Maya and Pink. And number 2 is the last of the cover versions. And it is Axel F by Crazy Frog. Axel F is a great piece of instrumental from the movie Beverly Hills Cop. I really liked that when it came out in the 80s. It's got the 80s synth. The Crazy Frog version makes me want to rip my ears off. And I'm not alone in that, despite the fact that this spent 4 weeks at number 1. It shows that no matter how good a melody is, a load of pops, clicks, whistles, and that ridiculous vocal thing that kicks this thing off with the motorbike sound as well, all of it is just hideous, genuinely hideous. Axel F by Crazy Frog at number 2, which means that my number 1 worst single of the 2000s is an original, and it's Cha Cha Slide by DJ Casper. I'm not a huge fan of do this, do that dance step songs. You'll know from my 70s one, I really don't like YMCA very much, but I would listen to YMCA a million times over ever having to hear Cha Cha Slide again. All that nonsense about crisscross and step to the left. Words fail me how much I hate this song. And it's my worst number 1 of the noughties. So that's it. My 10 worst number 1s of the 2000s decade. Let me know in the comments below what I got right, because I'm pretty sure there are a few of these that someone could really put a case to defend. It really was a bad decade for awful cover versions. Just remind you to like the video, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. I may well do in the future a video all about my absolute worst number 1s of all time and just kind of melange them all together into a top 10 of things that grind my gears. Remember to leave a comment if you have a category for the Pockenrop Awards. But until next time, thanks for watching.